Go.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, I'm Patrick Cole, and this is My House is for Sale. I want to give you a quick tour of my organic permaculture garden. So to start, I've incorporated numerous organic plants that I've actually either purchased or grown from seed. Also have some that I've used from cuttings, such as roses. Here I have an organic olive tree that I actually acquired from Williams-Sonoma on one of their shoots. The tree is actually from Sonoma itself, so I know the source itself. I have numerous cypress trees which actually house a lot of native birds and wildlife. They like to come in, finches, hummingbirds. Obviously, when I first started this project, there was only two massive redwoods, dead lawn, and a bunch of dying shrubs, both in the front and backyard. The backyard actually had two massive pine trees, dead lawn, and shrubs along the fence, which I had to take out. So with that in mind, I wanted to make sure that I can do an organic garden that was self-sufficient, completely sustainable, pretty drought tolerant. So what I've done is I've managed to incorporate plants that can not only handle the heat, but dry conditions. So in the front, obviously, I have the rosemary right there. You come into some roses, which have been here for a while. And you have the cypress trees, which are pretty deep-rooted. They help till the soil and obviously allow for other plants to grow self-sufficiently, so that way you're not watering too much. Then you have your ornamental bamboo, which just adds a little bit of color. More rosemary. Right here I have the very drought-tolerant and hardy pineapple guava. So it handles various zones, meaning that it can handle extreme cold all the way up to extreme heat, and not use up too much water. Then you come over here. Many people are not very familiar with this plant, but this is Spanish broom. So being half Spanish, my ancestors brought this plant in, and it's called Spanish broom for a reason, because obviously you can cut off a branch, use it as a broom for old time's sake. And during early spring up to late summer, you get beautiful yellow snapdragon flowers. Those flowers actually bring in the bumblebees and honeybees, which is great. Obviously you want to have pollinators because it goes hand in hand with this guava, which blossoms, has beautiful blossoms. But you always want to keep a pair also with the guava. So obviously you have your pollinators here. They come in, pollinate your flowers or your blossoms, and you get fruit. And here you have some pineapple guava, which is extremely delicious and filled with antioxidants. Then you come over here, and what I've done is created a complete canopy. So obviously you have the two redwoods, but the sun was still coming in. So what I did is that massive shade tree was actually grown from a sapling, so it wasn't here when I first moved in. And then you have this shrub, which grows up to 15 feet tall. I've incorporated, just to give it a natural flow, I've had two Granny Smith apples right here that you could barely notice, and they both fruit. So you have one here and one here. So this is connecting to the redwood, creating a canopy, and then you have the shrub, which is also adding more shade, and then you have the shade tree, then you have an oak tree, and it just forms one massive canopy. So during summertime, it's about 20 to 30 degrees cooler. And during wintertime, when it's raining, actually the rain can't even get through these redwoods. So it's a great thing to have if you want to come over here study. Come over here, I just want to give it a natural flow and make it, feel like you're up in Redwood Regional, up in the Oakland Hills. One of my favorite places to run, being an endurance athlete. Along here, I've, incorporated numerous flowering plants, lilies, salvia, which has these beautiful red snapdragon flowers, bird of paradise. And you come over here, you have a natural border / fence, and you have your cypress trees and nice shrubs, just to keep, people and dogs out, so that way you have your own privacy. And then you come over here, you have your path. So I've also incorporated natural mulch / amender. So by using droppings from the redwood and you know, leaves during fall. So you can come over here, you have your flagstone path, and just went through some nice shade plants because these plants do not like full sun, but they are rather drought tolerant. And you can come up over here, you have more redwoods. This was actually grown from seed, so I grew this from a little sapling. So it's great to have more canopy. So once that's fully grown, you have more canopy over here. This ornamental red plum actually does grow edible fruit. So that's gonna, you know, intertwine with this, creating more full canopy. You have these two fruit trees. They're actually connected together. So you have your peach and your apricot. So it's grafted on. So that's all intertwined with this one massive canopy with edible fruit trees, or you know, trees that produce edible fruit. Another redwood, and then you have your pine, and then you have your crepe myrtles, which produce beautiful flowers. I believe this one is a pink variety. And then you have another one that's over there. It's not too deep rooting, so you don't have to worry about it damaging any pipes or anything like that. Obviously more border over here, more flowering shrubs. And then we can come back to the backyard and I'll give you a quick tour. I upload videos all the time.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going.
Okay. So what I've done on this side to continue, you know, the permaculture aspect is I've incorporated 3 varieties of plum. So I have the red leaf variety of plum right here, and I have another one which is a reddish green leaf. They both produce edible fruit, and then I have standard plum. They're all intertwined, and then obviously creating canopy year round. You can come over, relax over here, you know, just put a folding chair. The shade tree, which produces beautiful blossoms. And then you have your cypress, shrubs, natural border. So that way you don't have to worry about, like, if your kids or whatever are here, you don't have to worry about the ball going out right there. Cypress, ornamental bamboo, and then more flowering plants. So let me take you to the back. Okay. So here we are in the backyard. As I mentioned, when I first started this project, there was only 2 massive pine trees. So that mound back there is just a staging area. So those plants aren't permanent. I mean, they're just there for, you know, undecided factors. I'm not sure where to place them, but I'm using all the, you know, the mulch because it's actually decomposed over time and created, you know, rich nutrient soil. So that way I can just plant in there and not have to purchase any. So this was planted here, obviously to produce shade, but it was grown from seed. It was originally over there, right by the screen door. So I transplanted over here. So this Meyer lemon is loaded with lemons right now. And as I mentioned, it's 100% organic. I never use pesticides or herbicides on any of my plants. Never have, never will. And the sole purpose is because of permaculture, I'm able to attract essential birds and insects to kill off any pest insects. So there's no need for herbicides or pesticides. It's irrelevant. And you should be manually picking your weeds anyways, because by spraying, it doesn't always get down to the root. If you have hard pan, which is idiot clay, because the soil is so hard that the pesticides and herbicides cannot get down to the root, thus leaving a healthy root. And over time, it becomes immune, grows back, and then you have a weed again. So if you manually take it out and you take out the root, you don't have to worry about that. So you come over here, it's black walnut, shade tree. So with this in mind, once this fully sprouts out, and actually I trimmed it a little earlier, so within a matter of weeks, it actually grew several feet. This is going to branch out. It's going to connect over here to the lemon, creating full canopy. Obviously keeping it nice and cool. You know, shady over here. You have a loquat, which is loaded with blossoms, which is fruit. So delicious fruit. That's going to branch out, connect to this walnut. You're going to have, like I said, you come over here with your shade tree. also have an apple which I have grown from seed, and it's loaded with apples right now. These are the best apples you can actually get, seriously. And then right behind that, what I've done is I just kept it just kind of wild, because the saying goes for permaculture is overgrow the system. So by overgrowing, you're not allowing the sun to get through. By not allowing the sun to get through, you don't have to worry about evaporation. So you have your potato flower, which the bumblebees love this year round. And as you know, pesticides and herbicides are killing off a lot of our bees, our honeybees and our bumblebees. So they can come and feast on this. You don't have to worry about them dying off. You're just contributing to a great cause by feeding those bees. But like I said, this is year round, beautiful purple flowers. And then you have your blackjack fig. So the figs on this are delicious. You also have a white genoa. Oh, just my little hummingbird just hanging out up there. He's sitting on the branch looking at me right now. So, yeah, he lives up in the redwoods that I showed you a little bit earlier. And then you have a redwood tree, which I grew from sapling. So that one is great. And you have your cypress trees all around, and the squirrels nest up there. So they're my little buddies. Come down, say hi. I have no problem, cutting up an apple from this tree and giving it to them. I have some cherries during cherry season. Come back over here. Kept this wild for a reason, because the grapes can yield up to 15 gallons worth of grapes. So I have numerous varieties. And I also have a navel orange, which I grew from seed. This one should be producing pretty soon. I also have I have two other plums. So I have a standard plum, and I have another purplish green leaf plum. And then I just kept the ivy. Then you have some thyme over here. So if you want to come take some time for cooking, it's also another great theme. Some potted plants. Obviously, this is a avocado that I grew from seed. So looks like it's about to flower this year. And then some little flowering plants that attract the pollinators, which can in turn start, pollinating the blossoms. And I got some honeysuckle, which actually I grew from a cutting. This is growing wild, but when it does flower, produces yellow snapdragon flowers. Bumblebees and honeybees both love it. And this is a peach that I grew from seed, and this is actually a pretty heavy producer, so I trimmed it so it's growing more upright. It's because it was kind of branching out in a way I didn't want. So that way it'll get more height, obviously, with more branches. And this concludes this awesome tour that you will not find anywhere else, because I'm super awesome, and you have a great day.